A full sofa. Welcome so much. We have Cecilia Strand, you're the finance director Nordics at Kone. We have Hans Backman, the group CFO at Nibe Industries. And also we have Bruce Wolf, director strategic growth at Unit 4. Welcome all of you today. And I would like to start with you, Cecilia. With a background from North American consulting and outsourcing companies and global matrix organizations, you have been part of several transformation journeys. Do you have a current project on the table? And if so, what is that?
Yes, we do. And recently we reorganized a new operating model in our company. And this transformed the whole business. And of course, finance needs to follow that to support our business in the best possible way. At the same time, we are upgrading our ERP system, which is not only a finance project, of course, it impacts the whole organization. And it's not only the system, it's the whole processes that are being redefined as well. So a lot of things are ongoing right now.
Seems that you have a lot of things on your plate.
Definitely.
And I happen to know as well that you are a sports addict and you have played soccer yourself and you also trained your daughter's junior team. How do you try to foster the same kind of team spirit into your projects and daily work?
I would say that commitment to the team is very important to deliver on your own role, but also to have an understanding, respect, and also support other roles in the company to get the best success for what you are doing in the project or whatever. And I would also say that you win and you lose together. So you have to learn from your mistakes and also celebrate small and big achievements that you do every day or every week.
Do you have a best way to celebrate? A preferred way?
I think to celebrate the small things are really, really important, to keep them very close to when you have achieved them and not only wait for the big bang when you go live in a system. It can take years until you're there. Yeah.
And speaking about celebrations, Hans, during your period at Nibe since 2012, the company has grown 6 times more in size in terms of billions of sales, both organically, but also through acquisitions. What has been the most rewarding part for you with such a growth tempo?
Well, I mean, growing in general generates a lot of positive energy. Because if you have a growth momentum in there, you can develop people, you can develop products, you earn money, and you have all the possibilities in the world to expand and look into new opportunities. And it's a wonderful combination in a way to have an organic growth in the bottom, so to speak, and coupling that with acquisitions on top.
Have you been celebrating?
Well, we try not to look back, so we can pat ourselves on the back for 4 or 5 minutes, and then we say, now we're going to look forward. You know, you're never better than your last game in a way.
All right. Okay. And prior to joining Nibe, you were the CFO at Alstom's German and Austrian operations based in Berlin, Germany. How come you changed Berlin to Markaryd in Småland?
Yeah, that's the question I put to myself sometimes. No, I came to Berlin already before joining the Alstom groups. I worked for SKF there, so ended up staying in Berlin for almost 10 years with the family. And of course, somewhere, even if you enjoy the time very much, in the back of your head, you might be thinking, you know, are your kids only going to be Swedish summer kids, or should they get some more of the culture and live in the country? So that's in the back of your mind. And then when I met the Nibe team and the CEO there and the chairman, my stomach told me that this is what you should do. So that's when the change came from Berlin to, well, workplace Markaryd. I live a little bit away from that.
And speaking about changes, turning to you, Bruce, you have recently relocated to Munich, probably due to work. And how has that been so far?
I have, yeah. I moved from Colorado in the U.S. and just made the jump over to Munich. And it's been great so far. It's really nice living in Europe and just being able to experience the culture here. I lived in Australia before, so it's nice to just add another type of experience.
And are there any new hobbies that you enjoy in the new city and its surroundings? Have you explored anything new?
Yeah, I really like cycling. So having lived in Colorado and now living very close to the Alps, I know it will surprise many people that I am not an avid skier. Instead, I prefer the summer months and I do like cycling, yeah.
Perfect. Good to hear. And I would also like to remind you that yet another deep dive is about to start, harnessing AI and ML starting at 14:45. And with that said, I'm turning to you, Hans. What new roles have emerged with finance teams and what skills are now prioritized? Are there any particular changes in the composition of the finance teams, would you say?
Well, having worked in the manufacturing industry all my life, I would say that that business has not changed in the same way as some other industries, like, I mean, the music industry with Spotify or payment with Klarna and so forth. I mean, it's still a matter of developing, manufacturing, and selling products in a way. So from that perspective, you have a basic set of skills that you need. On the one hand, the accounting side, you really need people who know their their profession in that matter, and then a little bit more on the controlling side, using the numbers to undertake actions and be this business partner, as was mentioned before. But of course, there is a trend for more automation that we've heard now during the day as well, where AI will definitely kick in going forward and doing things quicker, automating, and not the least what we heard from the head of the CFO office at Ericsson, trying to predict the future, so to speak, in a much quicker pace. That's very interesting and needed to do. So the IT skill set of finance people, I think, is good, is important to develop and combine. And then on top of that, the whole sustainability reporting and ESG coming and all of that, CSRD and so forth. So you need to couple also the financial reporting with those skill sets. And that has been an area where we have been able to attract people, because that's a combination that attracts people, I think, easier than pure IFRS accounting. But if you have the sustainability skill set, combining that with finance, that's emerging and a very interesting area.
And what role does competency tracking play in the upskilling and reskilling of finance teams to meet emerging technology demands, would you say?
So I think, kind of like what Hans was saying, it's all about being able to use what you have and have the talent there, be able to leverage what you have while still putting them in a position to be able to grow too, looking at the technology that's coming out, looking at what you don't know, because that's a big part, is really being able to acknowledge that you don't know what's coming. But I think, as we saw in one of the earlier presentations, it's the plan means nothing, planning is everything. It's the same type of thing when it comes to the skills of your resources. You need to be able to know who's good at what, but then how can you leverage that to help them take the next step to better themselves and then benefit the organization as well.
Cecilia, what would you say that emergency technologies and business models are shaping the evolution of the finance teams?
I very much agree with what these guys have said. That I think that finance professionals have always had a very good, that they are very good in technology and systems, etc. They have an advantage there, and I think that now we have to be more open to new technologies and be more flexible in going forward. But also the softer skills becoming more important, how to communicate what the automated systems can support us with and make decisions faster, but really to communicate that in a good way and be a true business partner.
And we're touching a bit upon it, but what would you say that impact do you foresee AI having on the structure and operations to finance organizations in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, AI, I don't think it's a, how shall I put it, a goal in itself. You need to have your own view of what you want to achieve and have your, defined roles and what it is that you want to deliver as a service to the organization. Then, of course, AI kicks in as a very important tool in this, just like systems have done before. And now AI, I think, takes it to the next level. But not only automating processes, but helping also maybe in analyzing things here. In the way that we heard before also from Robert from Deloitte, when an email is triggered to a boss when there is a deviation coming out. I think we can get much more of that by working with AI, for example. and both eliminating tedious tasks, but also interpreting them.
And how are AI systems transforming the way CFOs assess and deploy talent within their organizations?
So I'd like to think of AI much as we look at the finance organization now. Finance is very much a business partner for the business. AI can be a business partner to finance and to the business to really be able to help drive forward the organizational goals. And to do that, you really need to understand the way that AI can have that impact, to be able to automate some of those processes, but then also to be able to use it, generative AI as an example, as a brainstorming partner. It's not just there to remove tasks that you don't like doing, but using generative AI as that brainstorming partner can help really help advance the topic that you're working on.
And in what ways can the finance function contribute to building organizational agility, resilience, and collaboration between departments, especially in uncertain economic times, would you say, Cecilia?
I think finance plays a really central role, can have a bit more objective view, work with scenarios. So we were talking about not planning, but constantly planning and planning. So have scenarios so that you are prepared for different outcomes. I think that's very important.
Are there any specific numbers of scenarios that you need to achieve?
Three. No, I'm just joking. I don't know. I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And Bruce, can you provide us insights into how a digital transformation can improve an organization's response time to financial anomalies and market shifts?
Yeah, so with a digital transformation project, there's three things that you need to look at: people, process, and technology. And as you're looking at all of those, if you're looking at the process, you're redesigning a process to be able to fit the people, and then you select that technology to be able to go with the people, with the process. As you're going through that exercise, that in and of itself is something that helps you take a look at the way that you're operating and find ways that you might be able to more effectively respond to strategic things that you need to in the future. COVID, not something we saw happening. All of the wars that are going on right now in certain areas. Those are all things that have a global impact. And if you've taken the time to review the process and selected the right technology to be able to enable your people, then you're set up for success.
How do diverse academic and professional backgrounds contribute to innovation and to problem solving within the finance functions?
Yeah, good question. I mean, as I said before, I think to be in the finance area, you need a basic skill set of finance, obviously, knowing really what you're doing, so to speak. And it can be a little bit then oriented towards accounting or controlling. But of course, bringing new skill sets on board is of interest and also important in order to develop the function. But I think you need the basic knowledge to run the organization. Then you can combine that with what I mentioned before on the IT side, good technological knowledge, and of course also on the environmental side. Those are very concrete examples, I think, of what has developed over the last years. Then, of course, you can bring on board other types of skill sets and diversify the organization as well. But I think you, again, need to know what it is you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it in order to bring that on board, so that you know where you're heading. You need to have an idea on your own where you want to run to.
And what's your take on this, Cecilia?
I also think that the technology is very important, and also have the foundation of the accounting in the base, because that's how you can make judgment and put it into a context when we have these fast and automated data accessibility. But we can add the context and the judgment to that and advise on strategic matters.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so I agree that you need to have a base understanding of the math side of the house, right? Because this finance, you have to really have a grasp on that. But if we focus too much on people that are really excelling in that area, we might miss on some great talent that is going to help us with more of the AI side of things. Or you had mentioned soft skills. Somebody that might be a little bit weaker in the math side, but is really great with those interpersonal skills to be able to drive an initiative forward across the organization. So I think if we look to diversify the skills of the people that we have within the finance organization, then that's a great way to help the organization grow.
But would there be any challenges that you have faced when integrating individuals with alternative backgrounds into your finance team, and how did you address them? Anyone up for sharing that? Cecilia might have.
I think the biggest challenge that I have seen is that I have been working in large, complex matrix organizations, and coming from a smaller company or local context has been quite challenging with the whole reporting thing, and there are specialists for every role, and they tend to get a bit lost in that kind of environment. So it's not really about if they are an accountant or if they didn't have any education at all. It's more the context of operating in such a, I would say, a bit some crazy environment sometimes. But I think a lot of us feel at home in that environment as well. But that has been the biggest challenge.
What do you have to say about
Well,
that?
again, I think defining the roles. What is it that you want this person to do or not to do, so that you have that sorted out, especially if you grow, if you come from a small team where everyone has been rather interactive. The more you grow and the more people you bring on board, I think you need to define the roles without necessarily writing job descriptions, because that can become very square in a way. But then it's down to people. It's chemistry. You need to meet the person that you want to bring on board several times to see, is this someone who fits into the team? Do we share the same values? Is it someone who can contribute in a good way, or are we, is this a good personality fit for the group? So it's a combination.
Going back to the team as well.
Yeah.
What do you have any add-ons to that, Bruce?
Yeah, I would add on to what Hans was saying there about integrating into the team. It's really important as you go through and you make those hires and you're bringing the people into the team, set them up with something that they've done before, but then enable them to stretch as well, because that's how you're able to grow the talent that you have, by letting them work in an area where they're comfortable. If they're coming to a global role where before it was maybe more local focused, use them for that local knowledge and then have them stretch that into that more global role to be able to allow them to feel comfortable with what they're doing, but then also grow into a better resource for the future.
Thank you so much for that. And I have one final question for you. What role does finance play in crisis management and recovery planning within your organizations? I thought we might go around the table, starting with you, Bruce.
Yeah, so finance, when it comes to crisis management, I think is a pivotal part of the organization, really identifying the trend early and being able to communicate to the rest of the business, hey, we've got this coming up. We really need to start looking at how we can adjust to this and take a look at the market trends that are there and be able to make the recommendations as a business partner to the rest of the business.
Yeah, I can only confirm that. And I can take a very concrete example right now. I mean, NIBE has, as an average, since it went public in '97, grown with some 18% on average per year. And as you mentioned, since I joined in 2011, not that it's my achievement, but since then the business has grown 6 times. So it's been a tremendous development. But as we speak, we are currently into a phase where the market is very challenging. There is nothing wrong with the setup of the company in a way, but we expanded to meet a demand that will now be slightly delayed due to the high interest rates right now, and for some reasons. But we believe it's going to, take some quarters or half a year, whatever, to get through. But we are right now running a restructuring program to get a grip around the costs, and everything is centered around the finance department, both organizing the collection of data, the analysis, and the follow-up. Are we now, meeting the actions that we have set up, so that we come out, quite well set up again for the future. So everything is centered towards the finance people, who then truly interact as business partners with the business leaders.
And I let you in for a short answer, Cecilia, as well. What's your
Yes.
take on this?
I would say it's the same. We team
Yeah.
up with the business here and put money on the savings or the actions. So really to see that we are able to achieve what we need to fix.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us here today and
you.
to join me here on stage. Thank you.